Bridger, the Imperial flagship, the Indomitable, was a scene of controlled chaos. Red lights pulsed across consoles, casting long, dancing shadows on the faces of the crew. Grand Admiral Thrax stood like a statue carved from granite, his gaze fixed on the main view screen. For 3 cycles, they had been chasing a ghost. An unknown vessel, a phantom that defied all known physics, had appeared on the edge of Imperial space. It was impossibly small, a mere speck on their long-range scanners, yet it moved with a velocity that should have torn it apart. No energy signature, no drive plume, no communication. It was just there. And then it was gone, only to reappear light years away moments later. They called it the Data Status Report. Lieutenant Kale Thrax's voice was a low growl, cutting through the hum of the bridge. No change, Grand Admiral, Kale replied, his fingers flying across his console. The dart just completed another jump. Now registering at Sector Gamma 9, trajectory unchanged. It's still skirting the border of the dead zone. Speed is still impossible, sir? Thrax stroked his chin, the rough texture of his skin a familiar comfort. Yeah. Impossible is a word for lesser minds. Lieutenant, it has a drive system. We just don't understand it. What's its pattern? It seems to be mapping something, sir. Its jumps are precise, almost geometric. It's like it's drawing a line around the dead zone, but for what purpose? We can't determine. The dead zone. Vast, empty expanse of space where stars had long since died, a cosmic graveyard the Empire avoided. Superstition said it was haunted. Science said it was simply devoid of useful resources. But this vessel, this dart, was treating it like a landmark. Get me a line to the fleet, Thrax commanded. All ships, full alert. Want intercept vectors calculated for every possible jump point. The next time it appears, we will be waiting. Tense. Silence fell over the bridge as the crew worked. Thrax watched the star-dusted void on the screen. This wasn't a random encounter. This was deliberate. The dart was taunting them, testing their limits. It moved with a confidence that bordered on arrogance. Who would dare? The mighty Zelos hegemony. The cunning Cathar collective. No, their ships were known quantities, lumbering beasts compared to this nimble phantom. Grand Admiral. A new voice, sharp with alarm, cut through the quiet. It was the communications officer. We're receiving a transmission. I don't know what it is, sir. It's not on any recognized Imperial frequency. Put it on screen, Thrax ordered, his posture stiffening. The main view screen flickered. For a moment, there was only static. Then, an image resolved. It wasn't a Xylan, with their crystalline features, or a Cathar with their multifaceted eyes. It was a bipedal creature, soft-skinned and surprisingly symmetrical. It was seated in a chair that looked ridiculously comfortable, a stark contrast to the rigid command throngs of the Empire. The being smiled, a gesture that crinkled the corners of its eyes. Greetings, Imperial flagship, the creature said. Its voice was smooth, the language a perfect, unaccented, Imperial standard. Sorry to bother you. My name is Captain Eva Rostova of the exploration vessel Wanderer. We seem to have gotten a little lost. Thrax stared, momentarily speechless. The crew on the bridge exchanged baffled looks. This was the pilot of the dart. This unassuming creature in a plain uniform. Sue. Are in violation of Imperial sovereign space? Thrax finally boomed, recovering his composure. Your vessel's performance characteristics are unregistered. Identify your species and point of origin immediately. The creature, Captain Rostova, raised her eyebrows. Species? We're human. Origin? A little planet called Earth. You've probably never heard of it. Specs. As for our performance characteristics, Well, let's just say we've gotten pretty good at bending the rules of physics. We call it a slipstream drive. Human Earth. The names meant nothing. Archives held no records. They were a complete unknown. And your purpose here? Thrax pressed, his suspicion overriding his shock. Like I said, we're explorers, Ristova said with a shrug. We saw this big, quiet patch of space and got curious. You call it the dead zone, right? We've been scanning it. It's fascinating stuff. A network of, well, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. Believe what? The human captain leaned forward, her smile fading into a look of serious consideration. Look, Grand Admiral Thrax, is it? We're just passing through. We don't want any trouble. But I feel obligated to warn you. The reason you call this the dead zone, it's not empty. It's dormant. And our scans just woke something up. Before Thrax could demand an explanation, alarms blared across the Indomitable's bridge, louder and more frantic than before. Sir! Lieutenant Kale shouted, his voice cracking. Massive energy readings from the center of the dead zone. Unprecedented scale. It's like a star is being born. On the view screen, Captain Ristova nodded grimly. That would be them. They don't like being woken up.
My advice.
Get your ships out of here. Fast. And you? Thrax asked, his eyes locked on the human's calm face. A new smile touched her lips, this one sharp and predatory. Us? Oh, we're not running. We've been looking for these guys for a long time. It's why we built ships that can move like this. The image on the screen changed. A switch to an external view from the Wanderer, showing the tiny ship turning to face the now glowing heart of the dead zone. From the void, something began to emerge. A shape of impossible geometry and malevolent energy, a leviathan of cosmic horror that dwarfed the entire Imperial fleet. What is that? Thrax whispered, a cold dread seeping into his bones for the first time in his long career. Captain Ristova's voice came back over the com, filled with a strange, exhilarating fire. That, Grand Admiral, is a Void Eater. And you're about to see what happens when a lost little species from a backwater planet decides to go monster hunting. The Wanderer. The tiny dart that had vexed an empire shot forward, O Silver Needle, aimed at the heart of a waking god. The Imperial fleet, bristling with weapons and power, could only hang back and watch, suddenly feeling very, very small. They had been chasing a scout, only to find themselves on the front lines of a war they didn't even know existed. And humanity, it seemed, had just arrived to fight it.